What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Astro Vibe Show, where you come to
Vibe with the tribe.
My name is Willie Karras.
Macintocini.
Yes, I'm writer, creator, director, and all that good stuff.
Writer.
Yeah, cool dude.
Actor.
This is a general cool dude over here.
All the greatness. I can't think of it. It's just going through my head.
Billionaire, philanthropist. What are we? Today we are watching...
Architect.
Today we are watching Riot Reveals AMBESSA's Lore. Okay, so the thing about this is we talked about watching the breakdown of Necrit's video originally, because we did watch the music video. We had the whole group and everything like that.
Yep.
And then so many things have happening with Arcane Season 2 coming up, which we already put out the first 3 episodes of that. So if you guys want to check that out, that is actually posted now. With that going on, with the Champion Cinematics, with trying to finish Bridging the Rift, which we had 2 episodes still to drop of that.
Yep.
There's a bunch of different stuff, along with the anime content, and then, you know, we write our original comic books and all this stuff like that. So we ended up just watching the breakdown of Necrit's video, especially because we heard that he had dropped another video afterwards, kind of rectifying a few things, but just adding on top of it.
Yeah.
So in this video, we will be talking about that second video, Riot Revealed AMBESSA's Lore. And then we will refer to the previous video because we did watch it and we did go through it and everything like that. But yeah, we'll just jump in it right there, and then we will talk about things halfway through, pause it, all that good stuff.
I'd like to issue an apology. As some of you may know, yesterday Riot revealed AMBESSA's full lore. Or at least the full lore leading up to Arcane, so don't worry, there are no spoilers for Arcane here. But that lore also reveals some of the things that were theorized in her previous cinematic. And specifically, yes, I know, I'm embarrassed about this, but I presented AMBESSA being pregnant with Mel during all the battles as a possibility, and not a fact, despite the fact that she is visibly pregnant in the last shots of the cinematic.
This is what people were talking about.
You can stop now.
Okay.
I'm gonna remember this far longer than you will. But thankfully, still about solid 70% of that video was about to hit. Though unfortunately, I am pretty sure all the possible connections to Xerath and Renekton are just gone. Man, that one would have been cool. The thing is, besides AMBESSA's bio dropping on the universe...
And too, you know, in his defense, honestly, he did still cover those things, even though he wasn't... I think in the very beginning of it, he just overlooked that one aspect. Because once we just watched the AMBESSA breakdown video, he got to that portion where he was like, yeah, I think this might be Mel, but it's probably AMBESSA. And I was like, wait, what? I forgot what you guys had posted in the comments for those of you who've seen our music video reaction. So I was lost for a minute. I was like, wait, what is he talking about?
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, there's no way she'd be at a war pregnant. And then Derek called me out.
Oh, during the music video?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was so mad. I was upset.
Yeah,
But I was like, damn. So I pulled a Necrit.
Yeah. See, Necrit doesn't miss, you know what I mean? So technically, he didn't really miss, you know what I mean? So I give him the benefit of the doubt on that. All of his guesses as far as Shurima and stuff like that, too, were, you know, theories. You're supposed to have theories. They're fun.
Of course.
BBE also revealed the skin bios for all the Chosen of the Wolf skins. Which means, even though that entire part of the story is still kept vague, we got a better idea of what's happening there. So now, without further ado, let's have a look at the full story of AMBESSA MEDARDA.
Nice.
Born into one of the most powerful families in modern Noxus, AMBESSA MEDARDA was perhaps always destined for greatness. Her family was not counted among the old noble houses, yet they had gained immense respect and influence across the empire since its founding. And young AMBESSA's first exposure to bloodshed came early, watching reckoners risk their lives for a chance at glory in the arenas. Though she was too young to know the thrill of battles herself, she studied every match and internalized every move. Here we quickly have to mention one thing. The bio mentions that AMBESSA was born into one of the most powerful families of modern Noxus. Which means that in the previous video I already fumbled one detail. To me it always felt obvious that the golden colors of the Medarda clan would come from outside of Noxus. Which, if combined with the scenes from the past of AMBESSA's cinematic, it felt like she should be originally from Shurima. That would simply make sense, but here it was directly confirmed that AMBESSA was a Noxian from birth. So, what's really going on here? Well, thankfully the bio clarifies this a little bit better later on. So the original theory is not out of the window just yet. Anyway, let's continue. In
Okay,
the
cool.
aftermath of the Battle of Hildenard, her father sent her
Is
to
this
collect
dude?
the blades of fallen soldiers. Though still a child, AMBESSA never once averted her eyes from the death and carnage around her. And by the end of the day, she knew death was not something to be feared, but respected. Sacrifice was a noble thing. Greatness demanded it. This bit is a direct reference to a scene from the cinematic. There we saw
makes sense
young
with the swords around
AMBESSA
her.
surrounded by the blades that were mentioned in this story. So in reality, this was the scene where AMBESSA learned that death was to be respected. And since here the story also
see.
mentioned that greatness demands sacrifice, well, that is exactly what happened with the lamb, which still represents AMBESSA's past life of following the peaceful ways of the lamb. Which is
Gotcha.
where the story then gave us our first big reveal. The Medarda family code passed down through generations since their earliest days as traders on the Shuriman coast, posed the virtues of both the desert fox and the fearsome wolf of legend. So it was no surprise that AMBESSA would choose a soldier's life, carrying the memories of her childhood lessons with her always, holding others to the ideals of familial honor and decisive action. So, the interesting thing here is that while the Medarda family is a Noxian house, and AMBESSA was born into it as a Noxian family, some people portray this as the Medarda family originally coming from Shurima, because the family also followed the Shuriman mythos. This would make sense because later in the Empire's life, Noxus expanded south and it started conquering the Shuriman shores, which would potentially turn a Shuriman family into a Noxian house. But that is not exactly what's happening here, and now I can
Jeez.
say I was wrong. House Medarda was always a Noxian house, and the use of the golden colors just came from their ties to Shurima. So at least I was right on something. But the confirmation for this will arrive in just a second. But before we move on, there is one more thing that should be mentioned. Here the story mentioned that the Medarda family believed in the Wolf of Legend, referencing Kindred, as well as the Desert Fox. The interesting thing is that the fox is a reoccurring legend. First of all, it is cool that AMBESSA is actually referencing both of these in Arcane. She mentioned that they should be cunning as a fox and merciless as a wolf. So even in Arcane, AMBESSA is paying tribute to her Shuriman ties. But if you're wondering where the fox was mentioned before, well, in the Ionian mythos, death is a three-part journey. You have to deal with the gatekeeper, the taker, and the collector. Or possibly just one of them, depending on what kind of a person you are. With all three of these being represented by different skins in the Spirit Blossom skin line. With Thresh being the collector,
Damn.
Kindred being the taker. So again, yes, this
Thresh's
is the
design is
canonical
crazy.
version of
Yeah.
Ionian Kindred. And Ari as the gatekeeper, who is also often referred to as the fox. So in Ionia, people believe in the legend of the fox. But besides that, Legends of Runeterra also revealed that this deathly spirit possibly originates from Targon. And given Shurima's history with Targon, this would make complete sense. Well, this was an interesting detour, so back to the story.
Jeez,
She
okay.
was a proud daughter of the Medardas.
Wait a minute,
born-
wait a minute. Jesus Christ. Okay, so all this information, I feel like, I did not expect for the video to go like that far, like right, to be honest.
Right. Yeah.
Now I'm over here like, yeah, I'm glad that because I was debating, I was like, okay, do I just watch this video and not watch the other video? But this video seems like it's completely, he's just diving into more subject matter. So in
Definitely.
reality, I saw people talking about, oh, are we going to get like an hour-long video from Necrit for the music video? And if you really think about it, you put the 30-minute video and this 20-minute video, you basically got an hour-long video. So,
Easily.
So
Easily
yeah,
an
man,
hour-long video.
the amount of detail that Riot and League just put into their lore it's mind-shattering. I'm not gonna lie. We're not even halfway through this, and I'm just like, wait, I got to take some notes so I can go back and look up some of these things. Let's
And
jump into this.
yeah, and it's crazy because she's just a brand new character that was just introduced in Arcane.
Right.
And she's just that big of an influence in Arcane to where she just now is a playable
know.
character in League's Legend.
I know. And it's like not even to mention all the lore that's already in League of Legends that
Yeah.
still needs to be talked about and stuff.
Yeah.
I know, like watching season 2, trying to watch those different episodes, it's hard to even focus on any of the lore stuff that we've learned, to be honest.
It is, but now we got
Yeah.
that process and put in the back of our heads.
Right.
And now we're looking at things and it's like, wait, this thing.
Right, and it
it's
almost
like, what
distracts
is
you
this?
even more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Like the wolf. But I don't know, I'm not gonna spoil any of that. But anyways.
yeah. All right, let's jump back into this.
Yeah.
Warrior. Soon enough, a general in command of several war bands. Clearly, one of her grandfather Menelik's favorites as patriarch. And yet, she was so much more. A woman, a lover, and a mother. In her appetite for life, AMBESSA experienced it all. But the moment she held her son Kino for the first time, she finally understood what it meant to devote herself to someone unconditionally. So, our first confirmation here is that Kino was Mel's older brother. In Arcane 1, we heard his name and we learned that he died, but outside of that, that's kinda it. Also, her simply experiencing life as a woman, a lover, and a mother, with an appetite for life, is likely what was shown in the second memory of the cinematic. It was the much more casual-ish side of her life. Anyway, the story then continues with what happened after she got to love her son unconditionally. And with that came the potential for profound disappointment. While she loved him dearly, it was clear that Kino would never have the strength of a warrior in his heart. Well, knowing he died, it all lines up. Not long after, AMBESSA almost
All the smoke.
in battle
Spitting on this man's
defending her
grave.
ancestral home of Rockrund, while pregnant with her daughter Mel. I know, guys.
Oh, damn.
Please don't. As she lay among the bodies of her allies and foes alike, she drifted near death and experienced visions that she would speak of to few others in her lifetime. Whatever it was AMBESSA had seen, it alloyed her resolve and ambition. She would bend the world to her will, so that any weakness in her children would not be something her enemies could exploit.
Wow.
Well, so first it was confirmed that AMBESSA was actually pregnant in the cinematic. And if you're wondering how is it possible that Mel was able to survive AMBESSA being hit with an arrow in the stomach, well, it seems like Mel was also chosen by the wolf. Which means Kindred might be possibly giving Mel plot armor on purpose.
Hey.
But also, this
That'd
part
be
directly
nuts.
confirms
That
that
would
the
be crazy.
previous cinematic was a canonical vision of AMBESSA's near-death experience. And this part also broke Riot's funny streak. Because as I mentioned, up until this moment, every time Riot showed Noxians on a shore, it was always the
Did say that.
Ionian shores,
Yep.
because it would be related to the invasion of Ionia. But now it was confirmed that these shores are Noxian, because this is happening after the battle for Rockrund, which, as was mentioned here, was AMBESSA's ancestral home. Which I am pretty sure also directly confirms that the Medarda family is Noxian. And that's because Rockrund is a place we can find on the map. And
So a couple different things. One thing is, I think that was when we did our reaction to the music video. A lot of people were surprised that we noticed certain things. That I guess Necrit is saying that he thought it was one thing or the other, and that's I think what I was just saying with the last comment was. It's interesting because the way this story is written, especially nowadays, coming from this Arcane perspective where everything's canon there, you have people who have so much depth that it's almost like when you get into a new video game, right? And everyone's already like maxed out their skills and they already have all their perks and their different attachments and shit like that. And then you try to come in as a new player, and if you were in the same category as them, it wouldn't even be fun to play the game. It almost feels like that's the same thing that they're doing with their lore, you know what I mean? Taking that concept and allowing it to be even playing field, because if they make Arcane canon now, then it's like, yeah, a lot of people were, day one fans have all of this information, but you almost have to cross-reference it with someone who's just an Arcane fan, because there's just so much lore in Arcane. There's so much more in all the books and the comics and things like that. So it's very interesting how they do that. And I thought about that previously, because even like what he's saying about, the things with Kindred, there's certain things I would have never thought that was Ionian Shore. It never would have occurred in my mind. And I think in the music video, I think I had said, I think it was like Noxus Shore or something else like that.
I think we mentioned like Bilgewater, something like that too. Like close to that.
Billwater's like the boats and shit like that. And that
Well,
been,
close to it. I'm not saying it was like
okay.
in
I was like,
Bilgewater, because
I
there's
ain't
obviously
taking
no
credit
boats
for
there.
that.
So.
I was like, I don't know what the fuck. No, we said a bunch of different things, but I just think it's interesting how they draw that in. And then someone also had mentioned, I forgot, I was having a conversation or I seen it in a comment somewhere in one of our videos, And someone mentioned in Arcane, for those of you who watched it, not spoilers here, but after that whole explosion went off, that shiny gold plate on the back of her neck, which I kept paying attention to that even the last season. I was like, oh, that must be like a shield or something like that. And people pointed out that that's gone now. After the explosion, it disappeared. And I was just like, wait, what the fuck?
Really?
Yeah. And I haven't fact checked that yet. You know what I mean? We haven't went back yet. But like, yeah, if that it does play into this, and then somehow Kindred does have some type of tie to her, where she has some type of magical ability.
Plot armor.
There's so many different. Yeah, I don't believe that Riot just writes in random plot armor. You know what I mean? So, but that's a whole conversation for another time.
Damn. What if she's the next new character that gets introduced in the
game?
In the game.
She did get introduced as a champion in the game.
She did?
They just had yeah, we'll get into that. Yeah,
I'm
Not only is it found on
I'm so sorry.
soil, what's really cool here is that this place connects the immortal bastion of Noxus, it is right next to Piltover, and it connects to Belzoon, which is a big port city that Noxus conquered, and which is being used to trade between Noxus and Shurima. We learned all of that from Talia's story. So if the Medarda family originates from Rockrund, then their trading history with Shurima explains why they are using the Noxian Red and Shuriman Gold. Anyway, the story then continues after what we have seen in the cinematic. From that moment, AMBESSA's rise became almost meteoric. She led from the front in every battle, fearlessly staring death in the eye, and with every victory she grew more resourceful, more daring, and more uncompromising. When old Melik Medarda finally passed, he named no heir from his deathbed, sending several branches of the family into a conflict of succession. But AMBESSA knew that they clawed at heir, for this was her destiny. I mean, she probably saw that in the visions. She defeated her rivals and vowed to forge a legacy worthy of the Medarda name, worthy of her own children's inheritance. As the new matriarch, AMBESSA began to speak more often of her own personal mantra. In all things, be the wolf. Be ready to hear that at least once in Arcane 2. She would tolerate no weakness or dissent in those around her, lest the weakness spill over into her. She even sent her daughter Mel away to the distant city of Piltover. Years passed before AMBESSA began to hear murmurs of a new powerful invention called Hextech. From the soft-spined idealist of Piltover, no less. Intrigued by the potential of such discovery, AMBESSA traveled to the Gilded City to visit her daughter, determined to find out if this technology could be used to leverage even more power for the Medarda family.
Oh, wow.
So, this is how AMBESSA's story led into Arcane. We just know that she sent Mel into Piltover so that Mel wouldn't be included in all the Noxian affairs.
Yeah, that's what I had assumed. I assumed that she was doing it for herself because, for anyone who hasn't watched Arcane so far, I definitely would fast forward past this part and or just, I don't know, go watch that. But
plug your ears.
Get right, plug your ears.
La la la.
No, but for, from Arcane, I noticed we already watched the first 3 episodes. And in episode 2, I think in the reaction video, I was commenting. In episode 1, I was like, yeah, I don't trust her. Episode 2, I was like, yeah, I feel like she's manipulating fucking lower Undercity to attack them so that way she could get them to fight against each other and blah, blah, blah. And I kind of made that prediction. And then I kind of assumed once she was attacked that whoever she's going against, and again, this is big spoilers, that's why we wanted to do a separate video and drop it before, Arcane, so we can kind of separate these guesses and things like that. But the more we're diving into Noxus and really learning the lore and stuff like behind the scenes and reading books and stuff, we have, League of Legends books and going through the website, the more I'm starting to realize, okay, there's the Black Rose whole setup, and then obviously in Arcane you see Black Rose, it sprouts out of the woman's eye and stuff like that. Yeah. You get deeper into like dark magics and sorceries and things like that. Obviously Noxus has all its ties to that stuff. And if she really is, and this is like, I guess the big point, if if her son died because her son betrayed someone, and now she's here trying to get Hextech, it's probably because she needs it to defend herself. So I kind of assumed it was for a selfish reason, to protect herself from whoever her son crossed over, who, if it's anyone from Noxus, being either the Black Rose or being any one of the the top dogs from Noxus, then she has the entire Noxus army to go against because she was trying to overthrow something. Or,
So I have
do some
two. So I have 2 kind of predictions to that the Black Rose or the Rose might be, and it all correlates and connects to Noxus. I think it's one of the 3 councils of Noxus. LeBlanca,
Oh yeah, LeBlanc.
because she's the one that was dealing with a lot of the stuff behind the scenes originally for Noxus.
Yeah.
And my other theory might be Samara, because she's referred as the Desert Rose within the
Samara.
Noxus, and she's part of the champions in Noxus.
Yeah. Okay.
Those are my 2 predictions. It might be one of those 2, but her son probably crossed paths with one of those 2, or one of them caught winds of her trying to go and make a name for her family and preserve that. So they're kind of like, oh, you're gonna try to cross paths with us, the Noxus, your actual family within our family, whatever. You're gonna pay for it now.
Yeah,
so that's
yeah.
why she's going after the Heztech, that, like you said, to either use it for herself to protect herself, or use it to help make her name powerful within the Noxus family.
Yeah, to raise her position.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk a little bit. I have a bunch of thoughts on that, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
We're right in the middle of the video.
Yeah.
We're gonna be now that we're starting to get more information. We're gonna be trail off forever. So these lore videos are our time to kind of more theorize and put ideas out there and conversate with you guys. We don't want to do that too much in Arcane because a lot of people don't know lore
What's
stuff or
going
not
on.
interested in that. So
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll come back to that because I have some thoughts on that.
Though in the story, it really sounds like AMBESSA just sent Mel away because she was weak. Which means that maybe AMBESSA is not all about protecting her family rather than the Medarda name. In fact, this was always hinted when she appeared in Arcane
I don't
1.
think so.
And of course, it all ends with her learning about Hextech. Which is where I just really want to point out one more thing. Why is LeBlanc mentioned as a related character? What is LeBlanc planning to do with Hextech?
Hey, this is awkward, but this is Necrit from the future. It just so happens to be that now, after I edited the video, if you go to AMBESSA and you check out her lore, you may notice that LeBlanc is missing now.
Oh my gosh!
Take that information for what you will.
Well, that's pretty much it for AMBESSA's bio. A simple story that pays a good tribute to Noxian history.
We got so much to talk about.
Somehow, that is not where the story ends. Because, as I mentioned, besides AMBESSA herself getting a story, we also got a short bio for all the wolf skins. So now we can learn a little bit about what happened in AMBESSA's visions. First of all, an extra skin that was revealed to be part of the skin line is Kindred.
Oh,
now,
snap!
they
That
look
looks sick.
awesome.
Yeah.
But they look nothing like what was shown in the cinematic. And I do believe that was just an aesthetic choice to sell the skin. But more importantly, here's the bio. Do you hunger, dear wolf? The eternal chase is almost upon us. For you and your followers who find bliss through battle, this hunt is their reward. Only those chosen to enter Volraknun are granted this opportunity. Tell me, will they be able to withstand us in your afterlife? So, this skin essentially revealed that the characters we saw in the cinematic were other people who were challenged by the wolf. And it seems like they passed the wolf's challenge. After which, it seems like the wolf can use them, or at the very least their image, for what they refer to as the eternal hunt. Which seems to be just judging someone at the brink of death if they are worthy to live again. And yes, I know that all of this is still very vague, but at least it is steering us in some direction. And what's amazing is that we got a name for the real realm of death, or at least the realm that belongs to the wolf. It is Volraknun, which is an awesome reference to Noxian history with death and Mordekaiser. You see, Mordekaiser taught us that the language of the dead is called Oknun, and Mordekaiser's own death realm is called Mitnaraknun, which is simply using the same vocabulary as Volraknun, which is the death realm of the wolf, which, as was mentioned here, the wolf itself chooses who gets here. Pretty cool, if you ask me. So next, let's have a look at AMBESSA's skin. Your chosen has arrived, dear wolf.
Dope.
Those came before her paved the way for this moment. The Medardas will mourn the loss of her and her unborn child. And yet, I see a thread that ties her still to the living. AMBESSA, the matriarch of war. Does her destiny lie in Volrak Nun? So, this is a quote of the Lamb where they are wondering if AMBESSA is able to leave this realm. Well, the cinematic showed us that eventually she would. Now, I'm not really sure how canonical this is, but in the splash art of the skin you can see that AMBESSA is skilling Noxian soldiers. And I wonder if this confirms that if you pass the wolf's test, then you can be used to test others. Because here it seems like AMBESSA is being used to test the other dying Noxians. But more than that, since the lamb wonders if her destiny lies in Volrak Nun, I wonder if that means that if you fail the test and the wolf beats you, then you stay in this realm. Which would suggest that, all of those actually failed the test. Man, I would really like to get some answers here. Anyway, of course, AMBESSA fought the Pantheon skin in the cinematic. So now let's have a look at that one. Why was this spearman chosen, dear wolf? Did his spirit catch your eye? Or was it his steadfastness? Regardless, he has done what we asked of him. He was a worthy first test for the mighty Noxian general. What fate awaits him now? He will prove his worth once more and join the hunt. So yeah, this is where things get weird again. I mean, first of all, we were technically right in the fact that this is the wolf fighting AMBESSA. Except here, it is a chosen warrior of the wolf fighting on the wolf's behalf.
So,
the lamb mentioned that the warrior did what they asked of him and he fought AMBESSA. But then they talk about his fate and how he will be used to test others. Which again might mean that he failed the wolf's test, which actually might have been the warrior also being tested against AMBESSA, and since he failed, he would stay in Volrak Nun. But again, if that's the case, then the entire AMBESSA skin is a real what-if scenario. It would be, what if AMBESSA failed and she stayed in the realm? Does this mean that as long as the wolf is using you for a test, you're kinda stuck in a limbo? It is obviously not happening in real time as you are just lying there on the battlefield. But is it possible that the wolf is holding on to the chosen warriors and using them to test the others as they die? That would explain why after AMBESSA won, she was still used to test the others. If that's the case. Well, I like a good theory, but I'm getting confused here. But then, to stir everything up a little bit more, we also get the Katarina skin. An assassin was welcomed into our realm, dear wolf. Though she moves in shadows, she strikes fear in the hearts of her foes. That caught your attention, didn't it? Her speed, her violence, her conviction. A welcome addition to the eternal chase. So this is simply just another person that was dropped into the realm and was chosen by the wolf. The thing is, just like Pantheon, I strongly doubt this is supposed to represent Katarina herself. I do believe this is just a generic assassin. But I'm genuinely not sure if that's also the case for Swain. A usurper has joined us, dear wolf. A man who grasps for power far beyond his reach. He fails to see his folly. How will he adapt to his new surroundings now that he is no longer in control? We will be watching him closely as we give chase. See, here the story is being far too specific to fit Swain. But also the lamp mentioned that they will watch him closely and give chase. Which might mean that they know that Swain is on borrowed time, and knowing the demon's powers, it might be a matter of time before the demon takes over. At which point, the wolf gets the chance to strike him down. So this might actually be Swain specifically, but it may also be a generic power-hungry man.
Jesus Christ,
and
all of these what if. I feel like I'm watching a Marvel animation.
What if? Yeah.
No, but no, it's interesting because like all these hypotheticals, when everything else is so detailed and there's so much depth and there's so much specific-ness to the not only the music video but the lore as well and the timing and stuff like that. It's hard to kind of think that all of these look-alike characters are just generic, you know what I mean, Pantheon, generic Swain, especially with his arm, you know what I mean, being cut off, because arm, you know, Swain like loses his arm and then he, you know, gets all this dark magic ball fuckery, and then he ends up getting like a dark arm essentially, you know what I mean. So it's kind of hard to believe that there's just some random other dude that has the same cut off arm, you know. But it almost makes me feel like even though he, you know, even though Necrit read it as you are stuck in this plane. It's like, are you stuck in it forever? Because even in the cinematic, it's like, it showed her coming to the plane, fighting, and then getting out. So it's like, even if you lose, she lost before. You know what I mean? It showed her going in there, fighting, getting knocked down.
Yeah.
I mean, she did get back up, but all of these scars, I couldn't imagine just came from like one battle. You know what I mean? Every scar that she has, and then she leaves. And then even within like the music video, you see her have the armor on and being full-fledged, you know, from kid mode with no scars to adult with full armor within that same realm. So it's hard to believe like they just come in, they lose once, and they're stuck there forever. You know, so I would think that Katarina could have been there at one point in time, could have seen death, came here, fought, lost, and then got out. You know what I mean? Same as Pantheon, same as whatever. And these people are like more, not ascended, you know, like from Shurima, but like these people have like a different type of power. You know what I mean?
It's their fighting spirit. That's what I think.
Yeah,
it's their fighting spirit that gave them the will to fight and live, which is the whole point of Kindred. See if they're worthy to stay and have this and keep this life. I think that's what I think. Necrit's on the right path, and he talks about it a couple of times, and I think you're very on point with that too. I think it's just like I said before, it's just their fighting, willing, trying to live spirit that just stays behind, because Kindred can use those in his realm.
Yeah, I
just
see.
said.
Like a manifestation of
yeah,
the spirit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like he was saying before in his
I
last
see that.
video too.
Yeah. Okay, I see
Like
what
the
you're
ones
saying.
that came before him. That's why he chosen these wars specifically to fight AMBESSA when she was there trying to fight for her life.
Yeah, because okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Fortunately, that is where everything wraps up. That's it for the bio of AMBESSA, as well as all the bios of all the different skins. Did we learn anything about the cinematic and the visions? Not necessarily, everything is still vague. But overall, I am happy with what we learned from AMBESSA's lore. Arcane wasn't spoiled, AMBESSA got a really cool tribute to Noxian history, and Riot found a way to turn it all into a pile of money. Especially since AMBESSA's release skin is gonna be a legendary. And speaking of ways of turning a story into a pile of money, there is one more skin in this skin line that also got a story. An esteemed warrior and strategist, Swain brings his refined taste and unparalleled attire to both the hunt and the gala, menacing and dignified with a dash of disdain. His competition fears him when he hits the runway, although he'll do whatever it takes to secure his victory. He lets onlookers know that fashion is what really matters.
I'm like,
Yeah, I don't think this one is canon.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, it looked nice. It looked, fashionable.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I felt like we had a lot to say like throughout the video. Yeah, it's interesting because like you were saying, like it didn't really fully reveal too much. I mean, we have all the information from the previous video that we already watched, so we got to kind of like put that out there. But I did also want to watch the video Necrit did on why did AMBESSA get everything, and kind of see if it alludes to our hypothesis as far as how she contributes to the Arcane Season 2 story so far. And again, if you guys haven't seen our reactions on Arcane, if you guys want to check those out, and then come back to this, and things might make more sense because we kind of, we'll be talking about that a little bit.
Yes.
And then also to talk about what you had said about the Black Rose, when Necrit was talking about her sending Mel away because Mel is weak, I genuinely don't think that that's what it is. I believe that she really does love and care about her family and will do anything to protect her family if it means going overboard. I think that from like a writer perspective, you know what I mean? I think that Riot does a great or a great job of writing female characters. And I feel like it would be more multi-dimensional and she would be a better character if she had like this bulky, very strong, powerful exterior, but then still had those root elements of any actual human person and they didn't make her a robot. You know what I mean?
Right.
If they keep her true to, I feel like, a more human-like character, which I feel like they do a really good job of that, then she sent her daughter away because her daughter was making her weak. Not necessarily because her daughter was weak. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And I think her daughter making her weak was a liability, and they'll probably explore that in Arcane. I don't know what happened with Kino, but I imagine that when Kino died, that probably affected her mentally and emotionally, and she probably did some things that took her out of character, and she was like, I can't do that again.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think she was scared about that, even the thought of that before. I think in Arcane, the very first scene when it showed Mel as a child, and she met that girl with the chains around her face, and she was like, oh, I think we can spare her. And then like Ambessa kind of hesitated for a while, and she was just like, nah. And then she ended up killing her. And I feel like even that moment of hesitation, you know what I mean, to where she's like, oh, I would have let her go because Mel looked at me a certain way, blah, blah, blah. I feel like that's more what she probably was alluding to, so. But, I mean, I could be wrong. She could just be a cold-hearted killer, you know what I mean? But I just don't.
I mean, Noxus are known for that.
Right, but it's like, is
Kill
she
them until their
Noxus?
family.
Yeah, kill them to. Is she Noxus?
She's one of
she this,
you
that?
heard what Necrit said about her lore. She's
Well, he
part
said
of
it's still on
main
the fence.
the main powerhouse of the
Yeah.
main families in the Noxus.
Yeah, but he said they also lived on the coast and this and that. Who knows, man? I don't know. He didn't tell us anything. He just a lot of theories. I feel like.
It's in her bio. He read it on your bio.
Yeah, but right after that, he said that it's still kind of open for interpretation because he said that when they lived on the I forgot what he said specifically.
I think
But
I'm
I'm
talking about the shawarma side of her family.
the Shrima side.
Sharima. What did I say? Shawarma?
Shawarma.
I must be
Like
hungry.
Food.
Sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Fucking hold on. You know what? See, I feel like when they started explaining this part, like they took that break and they were like, he was like, I don't think that's the case, blah, blah. But it didn't really sound like he had the full confirmation. And then when he goes into explaining the part of afterwards where he's like, oh, you grew up watching this as a kid, this and that. Never once like gives specific reference, or it never once like gives like lore of her being born, of like, or her mother or father or anything like that. They just said like they took over this coast when they were younger. She's always been that family. But it's like, was she a part of that family? Was her parents and father from Noxus and they came and took her? I guess that's what my brain was thinking, because they never once say. And even he doesn't fully. He's like, oh, that's not the case here. You know, I'm
He
gonna
did
confirm
mention
that.
her father being a Noxus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but that
never
doesn't
say
mean it's
anything
her.
about her mom.
Yeah, so he could have literally came down, took the mother, had the kids, and then they're a Noxian family.
Yeah.
And that's the part where I feel like, yeah, with her being such a new character and shit like that too, yeah, that's where like Arcane's gonna answer all that stuff. Anyway, skipping all that stuff, back to your the Black Order of the Rose. So LeBlanc is a part. The Black Order of the Rose is 4 people. It's Vladimir. Yeah, Swain is like the visionary.
Yeah.
So he's the person that comes with the plans and stuff like that. Darius is the hand. He's like the most seasoned warrior and stuff like that. And then LeBlanc is the faceless one. So technically, they don't know if she's on the out of the 3, but she is. You know what I mean? Like her name LeBlanc literally stands for the white, and she goes by the pale woman and all these other terms and things like that. So it's like it is confirmed, but she's supposed to be like this mysterious person.
Right.
But Black Rose, and this is all kind of like me doing like research and reading and stuff like that, so I'm not fully sure if it's fully confirmed. But from my understanding, LeBlanc is teamed up with who was it? Vladimir. Vladimir's whole story, hopefully you guys already know this stuff. If not, yeah, I'll put some information out there. But Vladimir was part of Noxus. He ended up getting taken by the Darkin as like a exchange. Basically, his father's basically not supposed to break this treaty. All this crazy stuff happened. His father did it anyways, and then the Shuriman people down in Shurima basically used him or gave him the opportunity to go and take over places in Noxus, and he overthrew his father and all that good stuff. And then he became, essentially like a vampire of the coast.
Yep.
And then LeBlanc ends up meeting up with Vladimir, and they end up forming like the beginning of the Black Rose, from what I understand. And then later on, you get the 2 other people, Elise and Cassiopeia. Elise is more like a spider girl. Basically, they're both like 2 mutants. You have Spider Woman, you have fucking Snake Woman. They both get bit by a radioactive, spider and snake. And then next thing you know, no, they actually get bit by these creatures. One gets bit by a snake, and one gets bit by a spider, and then they turn to like their creatures or whatever the case is.
Right.
And and all the long stuff. But from what I know, there's 4 members. I don't know if you guys have any more information on that. I think we're gonna probably do a video because season 2 is dropping, and now that we dove into the Noxus like lore and everything like that, and we know that they're going to be somewhat relevant, I really would like to jump in that a little bit deeper, just so the whole crew kind of has an understanding, so when things do unveil, we kind of are understanding the deeper workings of it. So yeah, if you guys have any more information, you guys want to help us with that, post that down below and let us know about are there more members of the Black Rose, or but yeah, that's like my general understanding. So yeah, LeBlanc's definitely a part of it.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, she's
Which
definitely.
I don't know that much. I'm a new dude. I'm just a writer. I'm not a league writer. But yeah, that's all I got as far as that.
You want to watch that one?
Yeah.
Why did AMBESSA get everything?
Yeah, because I want to kind of find out that we don't actually know anything.
Happened. In fact, it was my first Worlds ever. And I don't know who wrote the script, but I couldn't
nice.
have asked for a better experience. With the outcome being simple. Faker now has more skins than half of the champions. Anyway, I
Right?
had an absolute blast
For
talking to
real.
people, taking 800 pictures with people, talking to the devs,
Nice.
stealing Trindamir's coaster, and that's all while not getting stabbed in London. There's gonna be a whole separate
Damn,
vlog
London.
about
Jeez.
that. But today we are
That was
talking about
epic.
something else. We are talking about something that has been on everyone's mind.
And just so you guys know, we did do a video to Worlds, and we covered all the teaser trailers, the
Semifinals,
Yeah.
finals trailer, and then it leading up to the champions actual
Yeah.
end of the fight and the celebratory trophy race.
Yeah, along with the opening ceremony and all the performances and stuff as well. So if you guys do want to check that out as well, we just dropped it like a day or two ago, and that's been like moving and stuff like that. So yeah, go and check that out as well. Great fucking experience.
It was crazy. It was
Yeah,
cool to
the
see
fact
that.
that he was there and stuff like that, I'm not surprised. It's crazy that he's saying it's his first one. I mean, this was a huge one. This was the biggest one. Just check that video
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
For a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
Simply said, it is the fact that out of all the Champions League has, AMBESSA is kinda getting everything. Like, really, from a
Right.
0 to 100, AMBESSA seemingly became the focus of League of Legends. Riot is simply going wild with the budget around her, while other champions, such as Shaco, struggle to have 2 canon sentences.
Shaco.
So the obvious question is,
Fucked up.
what's going on here? Well, if you connect the dots, it becomes fairly obvious. So for us to cover that, let's first find the dots. So, AMBESSA was originally revealed in a dev update more than half a year ago. And there, a lot of people got surprised because AMBESSA was never really a focus of Arcane. There was a lot of other characters and other storylines that seemed to be more important. For example, I always thought that Savika would have a far better potential to be a champion. But no, it turned out to be
I'm surprised
AMBESSA,
she's
and
not.
she started
Right.
appearing in more and more promotional materials. She got her own Arcane posters, she started appearing in the trailers, and very recently she popped up on PvE as a very spectacular champion. And I mean that in the true sense of that word. It is a spectacle to behold her on the battlefield. Yes, the dashes are still a bit controversial, but you can't deny the fact that she does have the cool factor. But the fact that her entire gameplay loop is seemingly about looking cool is only one part of this massive puzzle. Because then, out of nowhere, AMBESSA also got a canon cinematic. This is very rare for a champion to have, at least on the scale that AMBESSA got it. You could compare it to someone like Briar, who got a full cinematic, instead of someone like Smolder, who got a PowerPoint presentation. But really, AMBESSA is more on a scale of someone like
Damn.
Yone. Someone who is simply big in the lore, and he got a really chunky cinematic. In fact, multiple of them, technically. And similar
haven't
to
watched
that
this.
with
No.
the entire Spirit Blossom skin line, AMBESSA cinematic is also there to set up a whole new skin line. But that same cinematic also featured one of the most popular characters we have in this universe. At least when it comes to League's media, and that is Kindred. They may not be the most popular champion in the game, even though they are still popular, but especially in the videos and the posters, Kindred are really popular. And because they are so interesting, wherever you shove them, the popularity is gonna go up. In fact, it is one of the big reasons why Still Here did so well. Kindred simply made it better. However, on top of all of this, AMBESSA has one more thing. Her release skin, which is part of the new skin line that she established, is a legendary. And that is something very unique for Riot to do. And they only do it when there is a very special reason for it. For example, Seraphine got her first skin as an ultimate skin because she was tied to a real band. And so it made sense to make that part of the marketing. If this was the first time Riot did something like this, I wouldn't be surprised if AMBESSA also got an ultimate skin as her first skin. But since they got burned by Seraphine's release, I believe that's the reason why they didn't fully commit. Anyway, combining all of these things together, it seems like Riot is setting up AMBESSA as a very important character. Now yes,
Thanks.
we could argue that maybe Raj should have used another character that is already established in the universe to do all of this with. I mean, there is a lot of other champions who could really use this kind of love, but it's easier to collaborate
Man.
on this kind of marketing with a brand new character because you are starting from scratch. But still, that wouldn't be it for AMBESSA. In fact, besides being in Arcane, besides getting her own cinematic, besides getting a lot of lore with her own skin that is actually canon and is legendary, she also passed the point of no return, and we know that AMBESSA is gonna stick around for a while now, and dare I say she might be progressing League's universe forward. Yeah, I know we said it in the past with champions like Bel'Veth, but this time it feels different. And that is because AMBESSA is also getting her own book. Or specifically, the term is a novel. And it is titled AMBESSA, Chosen of the Wolf. See, this novel, written by C.L. Clarke, first appeared on Amazon with the release date of February 18th, 2025, which is well after Arcane finishes. With that said, even after reading the description of the book, I can tell you now, there don't seem to be any Arcane 2 spoilers.
Interesting.
I am pretty sure at this point Riot is aware of what they are doing and they wouldn't make such a stupid mistake. I mean, technically there is one extremely tiny spoiler, like from 0 to 10, I would say this is about a 2 out of 10 spoiler. But it seems, and I guess here is the tiniest spoiler alert possible, that AMBESSA survives the events of Arcane 2, which, to be fair, I don't think her character was ever in any real danger, but the description suggests that her story is gonna continue after Arcane. And that for the most part, it will not be just a prequel.
I don't think so.
I mean, the book does have Arcane on its label. So it seems like after we are done with Arcane, AMBESSA is gonna be the one who is leading the charge forward. Which, now, looking back, it would make sense why AMBESSA would have such a big marketing budget. But as to how she is going to progress this universe, well, let's have a look at the description. And again, don't worry, there won't be any Arcane spoilers here. It is mostly recapping the bio we got on Universe.
Fuck that. I'm spoiling some shit. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
Jeez.
putting spoilers.
I was like, wow.
No, it's funny because I thought about this like before we started watching this season. As soon as they started pushing the marketing budget and everything, like thinking about it from like building a universe, and I've done this multiple times with like clothing. You know, we have like original merch and stuff like that. Whenever you're gonna like go and push something, you always are planning on making back the money that you're putting in. Like that's the whole part of it. I mean, sometimes you sacrifice if it's a really, really big event, if it's a Thanos of the Marvel Universe or something like that. You know, you'll sacrifice because you're like, this is setting up a lot of other things. Almost like Age of Ultron. You know what I mean? That was a movie that was meant to establish other things within the bigger connected universe. A lot of people don't say that's the best movie, but it introduced like Wanda, introduced all these big pieces that have their own complete franchises now that like carry things. I feel like with her, I don't think she has to, and this is completely just theory prediction, but I don't think she has to live. I think that with all the music video and all the lore and things that they're setting up, I feel like if I was in their position, I would be setting up pillars in the League universe. Like I would probably have something along the lines of her dying and then becoming something that is in the kindred afterlife thing, and then her being like a Titan of Death. Because they've done it with Mordekaiser, they've done it with a lot of other characters. So I feel like it's a really good opportunity for them to build up her character, show why she's such a badass, have her be an interesting plot point in the story, which I feel like that's a big part of why she's being pushed so much, because it's hard to take a character that people care about so much and already has so much fandom and lore around, especially when you know how deep lore fans can get, and then just squeeze them into a story without breaking some straws and stuff.
Right.
You know, when you have a character like this where you can put out a music video, let people think one thing, and then you literally can write the bio, you know what I mean? They could have read it the week before, you know, if they wanted to, just to make sure all the pieces fit when Arcane's already about to release them the next day. It allows you that flexibility of being able to really manipulate the story, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel like her character is important. I feel like if they go on to making another series, it's probably going to be like Noxus or something. You know what I mean? Because Noxus is just tied to everything.
Yeah.
But I feel like she can't be like a main driving factor of it.
I don't think so either.
I feel like she dies. You know what I mean? Or like she dies, but she becomes something bigger. You know what I mean?
I think that book This is just me also speculating and stuff. I think that book's written for the events that's gonna lead her up to going to Arcane. Like even like if not during the having Mel over in Piltover right now, she's doing stuff behind the scenes right now while she's like coming over to.
Yeah, and nothing's being
Piltover.
explained,
No.
so it's like, yeah, this book and all of her stuff too. She looked young in that book.
Yeah, she definitely
So-
had just black hair. It wasn't white like she has in her Champions photos or in the
Yeah.
Arcane season. So
Yeah, I've went through like a little bit of the Ruination book, and I was gonna purchase that actually because I'm playing the Ruin King, and that is also one of those books where you have the Ruin King, which is more like the effect, the things that are happening afterwards. Like Ruination's already happened, and now these heroes are trying to team up to figure out how they're gonna handle the situation. Whereas Ruination is more like, this is why all this shit is happening. You know what I mean? And even going through, I have like the League of Legends Realms of Runeterra. I feel like a lot of things that they do with like novel style stuff is more like prequels or like origin stories or like Wolverine origins or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's hard because I feel like everything's going to tie together and make a lot of sense in like the final act of Arcane. So
it will.
yeah.
I hope so.
All right. All right, man. Enough theories and things like that. This is
Yeah.
a lot longer than I had planned on it.
AMBESSA MEDARDA, warrior, general, mother. She is a woman to be feared, and the Medardas are unrivaled in their pursuit of glory. She has led conquests and armies. She has slain legendary beasts. She has made grave sacrifices in her ascent up ranks, and for this she was rewarded. She entered the realm of death, and she was granted a vision of herself upon the throne of the vast Noxian Empire. But before she can lead her empire, she must become the head of her own clan. Yet the title is contested by her cousin and former confidant, Tafik. He knows the bloody sins of AMBESSA's past, and he knows he cannot allow her to rise. Just a note, up until this point, the description is not talking about AMBESSA becoming the head of her clan in Piltover. It is actually talking about AMBESSA's past in Noxus and Shurima.
Yeah.
So all of this is technically a prequel to Arcane.
Oh.
They will fight a war for the very soul of the Medardas. But the war won't be fought on battlefields alone. AMBESSA's daughter, Mel, can deftly break through the walls around anyone's heart, and she'll put her talents to use for her mother. Yet, despite Mel's strength, AMBESSA sees only a child who lacks her killer instincts. Mel knows she cannot be the leader AMBESSA wants her to be, if only she gives her time. With her family betraying her, enemies closing in on all sides, and unseen forces moving in the shadows, every day proves more dangerous than the last. But AMBESSA will not bow. She will burn the world down to claim her place in it. So, that was the description
Sounds like a
of
good
the
sword,
book.
though.
I told you, not really anything to spoil Arcane. But that is where we can put on our tinfoil hats. Yeah, that's right. Even without knowing anything, people got crazy with the theories and
Oh boy.
Right.
things got cool really quickly. And I'll admit, I am not the one who came up with this theory. In fact, I'm not sure who did. But there is
I'm glad we're
one
not the only
really
ones
cool
coming up with a
theory
lot
on
of
the
theories.
internet
Right,
that I
right.
have to bring up. You see, the description mentioned that AMBESSA saw a vision from her future where she was sitting on the Noxian throne, which means AMBESSA wants to lead Noxus. Now, after Swain
damn.
claimed the throne of Noxus, there is no longer just a single leader. In the past, that used to be the Grand General. But because a single leader can always get corrupted, Swain established what is now known as the Triforix, or in other words, 3 separate leaders who lead
yeah.
Yeah,
Noxus.
we just- yeah.
So that when one gets corrupted, the other 2 can probably take him down. In
Facts.
this Triforix, we have 3 figures known as Vision, Might,
Wow, I didn't know
and
he was
Guile.
gonna
He
Vision
literally
is
just-
represented
okay.
by Swain, Might is represented by
We could've just shut
Darius,
up. Yeah.
but Guile was always teased to
Wow.
be LeBlanc. And what's interesting
thought we knew
is that
something.
in the
We didn't.
different teaser trailers, LeBlanc also seems to be related to AMBESSA. Also, the description of the book mentioned that there are
Just
enemies
unlock the
lurking
key
in
number.
the shadows. But while Guile was always teased to be LeBlanc, in the lore, Guile is represented by a mysterious character who is wearing a golden mask and who is paying a tribute to the wolf. Both of which are things that would fit
That's crazy.
AMBESSA. So now the theory is that AMBESSA is gonna join the leadership of Noxus as
Damn.
Guile. Obviously, we have no idea if LeBlanc is gonna be somehow involved
would
in
be
this, or if
crazy.
it is LeBlanc's plan from the very beginning, which would essentially make AMBESSA LeBlanc's puppet. But that is one really cool theory.
That is.
Just so it's clear, the idea is that LeBlanc is currently using a dummy person in the leadership, which means that when the time comes, she can easily remove that dummy and replace it with AMBESSA. It has nothing to do with AMBESSA being sneaky or mysterious or anything like that. What is also nuts is that 4 years ago, we got this tweet from the narrative lead. The reason I am so confident when I say LeBlanc is not part of the Triforix is because some of us here do know who the representative of Guile actually is. And I know when that reveal will happen. This,
Oh, man.
unironically, fits into
Oh,
this
shit.
theory. It fits into LeBlanc possibly putting AMBESSA into this position, but it also fits the 4 years of development a champion would normally have, which also includes Arcane and all the story they had to write for AMBESSA. So, just remember this theory in case it ever becomes true, because this one has been waiting there for a while. But that is it for the theory, so just very quickly, let's go back to the book. This is where some of you may ask, are you gonna cover the book? You didn't even cover the Ruination after all. And yeah,
didn't?
I will say that one was different. The issue the Ruination had is that that was a story that was told a few times through different media. And so the
I feel
people
it.
who already knew what happened didn't really get the interest in learning about it again, despite the fact that there was a lot more details, and we learned about more champions who were involved, such as Soraka or Rise. Which also kinda left everyone to believe that the Ruination book didn't do that well, and we were afraid that League would never get another novel again. But here we are, and it seems like Riot is not afraid to do the same thing again, despite the fact that books and novels generally don't sell that well around the gaming audience. With that said, I also want to mention that the Ruination book was a bit unfortunate because it did come out around the time League's lore started to slow down, which also meant that the general interest in lore was not that great. And for me personally, it started becoming more and more obvious that covering lore is not the way to go forward. Which is why I started covering news and drama and Riot's MMO. However, I always planned to cover the book eventually, and now I can tell you, when it happens, I'm just gonna cover the entirety of Viego's story. That's right, expect a
Yeah.
2-hour Viego lore video, starting with the Ruination book, going into the
Nice.
Ruination game, followed by
shit.
Viego's bio, by Gwen's bio, and by the Sentinels of Light. I'll see if I can also fit in whatever happened in Wild Rift 2. And also the epilogue we got with Yorick. So yeah, that one
I
might
will
actually become a
probably be
movie.
watching that.
So will I cover the AMBESSA book? Hopefully, I mean the general Arcane audience is gonna be interested in that, but I don't want to prevent Riot from selling the books, because we do want to see more of the books. Which is where I can also bring up a really cool piece of news. You see, don't worry, I know that everyone who plays League is illiterate and they can't read. After all, my entire
Gee, well,
channel is
geez.
based on that fact.
Oh
So
my
yes,
goodness.
the AMBESSA book will also have
Look,
an
look,
audio.
look!
See, Riot
Shots
is
fired.
taking care of you.
That's
Oh
wild.
man, that's hilarious.
I mean, I don't know if that was kind of a shot. It was kind of like a, hey.
That's kind of
Shout
like,
out,
hey, you already know.
Yeah, right.
I don't need to
This-
explain myself. You guys already know.
You know who I am.
All right.
Great
well,
video.
Well, snap. He literally went over the stuff that we were already saying and kind of like bring it up to the point of
Yeah.
Light to AMBESSA and her backstory and kind of where she falls in the whole entire category and lore of League of Legends.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
And
the suit of like Arcane, I think a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, and I honestly like that last theory too. I mean, I think that's along the same lines as what I was talking about her kind of the character of AMBESSA dying and then her becoming a higher entity of whatever case. If she's just a godlike figure and now she's like sheds like that identity essentially and becomes this now powerhouse of like leading one of the most highest, basically becomes a whole nother character because now she becomes LeBlanc. You know what I mean? So that's what I feel like kind of makes the most sense. You know what I mean? Because I feel like when you build a character and you build a certain like identity for them, and how they're portraying her now, I feel like it just I don't know. A part of me just feels like she can't move on with that same type of identity. It has to be like completely shed somehow. So that would be a great. Honestly, I would love to see that too. I think that would be crazy.
That'd be nuts.
Yeah, that'd be really crazy. Yeah, let us know your guys' thoughts. A lot of talking in this one, a lot of theories, a lot of things. It just shows our excitement, honestly, for Arcane since it's dropping. Our excitement with all the lore and stuff that we've learned over the years. Like I said, we will be doing another video that will more just cover Noxus because I do want to dive more into Darius. I do want to dive more into Order of the Crow and all that good stuff. So I'll probably do a few different videos, maybe a few different Necrit videos, just covering LeBlanc, covering Darius, covering Swain, something like that. You know what I mean? And just kind of get that general overview of like who's leading Noxus. So that way, when, like I said, things do happen in the Arcane show, I can either instruct the rest of the crew, me and you, or we can just have a better understanding to deepen our reactions and everything like that for you guys. So yeah, let us know if that's something you guys are interested in. If you guys want to join the Discord, where's that at?
Right down here.
Yeah.
Down below.
Right down below. You can join the Discord. We have a whole League of Legends channel and all that good stuff. And yeah, that's all I got for y'all.
Yep. And don't be afraid to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes,
and also hit that notification bell.
Yes. If you guys want more like deeper like lore videos like this, like when we have the crew, we kind of sail through it a little bit faster, just so we won't prolong. I feel like this might be one of our longer videos. So if you guys like these longer videos with this amount of depth and more theories like this, definitely let us know, because that's something I was kind of iffy about. Like, should we even put these two videos together, or what's going to be like our direction after Arcane's over? We dive back more into lore and we're just exploring the universe. Kind of want to have like a pathway. So help us out with that, and we would love you guys forever. All right, y'all.
Until then,
much love.
See ya.
Peace.